now Britain begins rolling out its vaccines to the public. The UK last week gave emergency authorization for Pfizer's vaccine, leaping ahead of America, which still has not approved that vaccine, which was co-developed in America. Britain has ordered 40 million doses. Each person requires 2 shots a few weeks apart, so it's enough to inoculate 20 million people. About 800,000 doses will be available this week. The National Health Service giving top priority to the elderly, healthcare workers, and nursing home residents. The vaccines are now at hospitals, and they're being stored in minus 70 degrees Celsius refrigerators.
It's just incredible, actually. Obviously, I can't hold them in my hands because they are minus 70 degrees, but to know that they are here and we are amongst the first in the country to actually receive the vaccine and therefore the first in the world is just amazing. I'm so proud. Stored in the minus 70 freezer, and they will be taken out of there when it's appropriate. The hospital is just going through the final checks to be able to implement the vaccination program for our high priority groups, and we will roll out when it's appropriate.
With us now is Dr. Mohammed Munir, lecturer at Lancaster University. Sir, thank you for being with me. Do you think humanity should rely on these vaccines being as effective as advertised? I mean, the publicized clinical trial data that indicates 95% effectiveness, is that reliable?
I think one thing is pretty clear is that this is beyond expectation. This is watershed moment in the history that from concept to reality, we have 10 months and the vaccines are there with 94 to 95% efficacy. The data that is generated out of the phase 3 trial, which was conducted more than 30,000 people around different parts of the world, I think is certainly remarkable. However, as we know all, that most of the vaccines, whatever the efficacy is in the phase 3 trial, is not exactly how we see into the field. And it depends how we really calculate these efficacies, because when we talk about a Pfizer vaccine, the efficacy is calculated based on the protection against the severe form of the infection, not against getting the infection or transmitting the infection. So certainly really look into how the efficacy is defined.
Sir, I want to ask a question about inoculations here. I mean, let's say the UK has enough for 800,000 doses. They could fully inoculate with 2 shots, fully inoculate 400,000 people, but why not partially inoculate 800,000? Give everyone just 1 shot and then wait a few more weeks for more to be manufactured. Is that effective or ineffective to give partial inoculations, but for more people?
Well, that's a very interesting point that you raised. However, unfortunately, that isn't practical for 2 reasons. First, because in the phase 3 trial, when the first dose was given, within 7 days, the immunity started to develop, but that immunity isn't sufficient enough to protect against the infection. So therefore, after a total of 21 days, the second shot need to be given, which is what we call booster, because it boosts the immune system in such a way that the immune system is mounted to protect against the natural course of infection. So with 1 dose, it wouldn't be really protective enough, so it would be wastage. And the second reason is that very important to understand is that we don't want to have a partial immunity against the virus, because partial immunity means the virus has to fight against the immunity established by the body and would try to mutate more than it would normally do. So therefore, we will be putting an artificial pressure onto the virus, and the virus will mutate into something that we don't really want to have it happen. So therefore, the way the trial has been conducted with the 2 doses 21 days apart, that is exactly it has to be followed within the field if we really want to see the benefit into the community.
Oh, yeah, 2 shots, 21 days apart. So I want to ask about the priority here. It seems to be a consensus now around the world that the healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, but also the elderly, nursing home residents especially, they get priority. I heard an argument that seems compelling that it's the younger people who interact more in the world. They're more likely to come face to face with more people. They go shopping in malls. They go to theaters and bars and restaurants. They should get maybe priority over the elderly, who are more likely to stay at home and be risk averse in general. What do you make of that argument?
Yes, I think this is a very interesting point again, that, okay, people who are the possible source for the transmission of the infection, they would be the one to be prioritized. However, not really the case with these vaccines, because these vaccines don't protect anybody from shedding the infection, meaning that if somebody is detected positive with the coronavirus and has been vaccinated, they still can transmit the infection to people in the nearby community. This vaccine, therefore, wouldn't have any benefit for the young population in terms of spreading the infection, but it would have impact onto the elderly people. Those are more likely dying, unfortunately, or ending up in hospital uh, because of the COVID-19 infection. So if those are immunized, they would probably be saved by many folds. So that is what really our emphasis is, to protect the people who can otherwise end up in hospital, to be protected by this vaccination, not against avoiding the spread of the infection.
Yeah.